Good evening and a very warm welcome to the World of Fenestration Tech Talk 2020 in association with Declinic. Trust all is well and hope that you and your families are staying safe. On behalf of ADEC Exhibitions and Conferences Private Limited and the ITE Group, it is my pleasure to have you at this meet. The World of Fenestration Mumbai was hosted for the first time ever on 11th November 2016 at the Bombay Exhibition Centre, proved to be a magnificent success. It drove discussions on how aesthetics and design trends can be harmonized with energy-efficient building technologies. Inspirations were drawn from the fact that the facade and the fenestration industry in India is emerging rapidly, and the need for sustainability, comfort, and aesthetic continues to drive innovation in the windows, doors, and facade construction sector. After 6 successful editions, we are proud to start our first webinar series with one of our founding partners, Declinic, themed Tech Talk 2020. Looking forward to eventful panel discussion, and without further ado, I will now hand over the platform to Declinic India's Business Development Director, Mr. Dev Chandwani.
Hi, good evening. How are you? I think everybody is all right. You know, you cannot reply me, but I hope that everybody is in a good health. And let me welcome you on behalf of World of Fenestration, Tech, and the Declinic. Okay, I will quickly wrap you to the information about the Declinic, what we are. Declinic is a world number 2 PVC window door profile manufacturing company. We started in 1937. We are doing the business since last 82 years, presence in 91 plus countries, having a 14 manufacturing plants worldwide and 22 distribution centers worldwide. We offer a full technical support to architectural fraternity as well as the developer and customers. Declinic Profits India Private Limited is a subsidiary of the Declinic NV Belgium. Amit, can you mute the audience mic, please? Okay.
You should grow and
Okay. So Declinic successfully delivered the 100 plus projects in India and installed structurally safe window in over 20 plus high-rise towers. We have 2 warehousing facilities, one in Chennai and Noida, having 9 tons stocking capacity, having 35 plus channel partners who do our fabrication work and installation work. And these are the pictures of few completed projects. And I'll not take much of your time, going back directly to the Tech Talk, what we are here for. And Mohit, can you just mute all the audience, please? Okay. So today's Tech Talk is redefining your downtown. Okay. These are the panelists, and definitely I will introduce to you one by one. First speaker is Mr. Chetan Shah, who is the National Director of Colliers International. By profession, he is an architect, completed in 1999, and the Masters in Building Engineering and Management. He started his career with the TCD development, and after that he joined the Synergy Property Development Services, one of the leading project management consultancy firm. He started his career as a design coordinator. Eventually, because of his hard work, he promoted to the Director of Development. His forte remains in pre-constructions and has handled projects across all assets classes in all regions in India, including campus development projects in Siberia, Malaysia, and Rwanda. Since he was acquired by Colliers International last year, now he is a national director and part of the office is chairman and MD India. Apart from handling technical aspects of development, he is now heading the technical due diligence team in Colliers India. Welcome, Mr. Chetan Shah, in this day.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next speaker is our well-known personality in our fraternity, Mr. Ajay Gupta, Executive Director of the KGD Architecture. Ajay serves as the Director of Healthcare and Commercial Projects at KGD Architecture and alumni of Illinois Institute of Technology, USA. He holds an experience of over 2 decades handling large-scale work in India and abroad. His expertise lies in surgery and feasibility planning, creating efficient and productive designs and budget coordination for the hospitals. Apart from his professional role, Ajay has also served the guest faculty for Department of Hospital Administration at the prestigious All India Institute of Medical Science, New Delhi, and is an advisory board member of various platforms. Before KJT, he worked with the international architectural firm like Fenestration, RTKL, and HDR. Welcome, Mr. Ajay Gupta, in this Tech Talk.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for having us.
The next speaker is Mr. Indrajit Kembawi. He is the managing director, managing partner of the Kembawi Architectural. He has completed his BR from VBB College of Engineering, Hubli, after which he went to Sir J.J. College of Architecture for his postgraduate research. He has designed a variety of projects, namely townships, malls, IT spaces, hospitality, healthcare, cultural center, public buildings, and even boutique projects. He has traveled around the world, and his design approach reflects his eclectic bent towards the architectural. He emphasizes the need for architecture to be a statement for his surrounding as well as an embodiment of functionality, comfort, practicality, and contextuality. He is deeply involved in research and sustainability, real estate technologies, history, culture, and economics, and effective binds influence of these studies in his profession. Apart from various awards, the work of his firm has been widely published both in India. With a passion for architectural and allied disciplines, he is also an avid speaker of various forums. Welcome, Mr. Indrajit Kembawi, in this Tech Talk.
Thank you so much.
The next speaker is Mr. Satish Kumar, Managing Director, Emerging Market, Asia and Australia, Tectonic India. Satish Kumar is a mechanical engineer but patient with more than 2 decades of experience in business development in the field of fenestration and facade. His expertise in profile systems, machineries, and fenestration softwares is well known in India due to long stint of aluminum, PVC, as well as machinery industry. He is currently in regional role of Managing Director of Tectonic Group for Asia and Australasia, heading a multicultural and multi-country team spreading from India to Australia. He is a part of the UDMA Technical Committee involved in formation of the UPVC profile standards and also involved with Thailand Industry Standard Institute to form the Windows standard for the Thailand. Through Tectonic, he is also involved in Australian Vinyl Council of Ocean of UPVC. Welcome, Mr. Satish Kumar, to this Tech Talk. Okay.
Thank you, Dave.
Esteemed speakers, and now I will not take much of your time because a lot of people are waiting for you. Handing over to Satish, who will be taking over the journey after today's session. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dave. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to have you all here. Let me also welcome the audience. We have nearly 200 participants today. I think everybody is eager to see what's going to happen, what's in store for them from the eminent architects about what's going to be the future of design and technology for the building industry. I think in the last couple of weeks, in a lot of change, we have gone through a complete sea change in the way we work. We have quickly adapted to Zoom and WebEx and GoToMeetings. I think we used to have this once in a quarter for our financial discussions. Now it's become a daily affair. So how is it going to be different? This is an important question because most of the people are attending nearly around 2 to 3 webinars. We'd like to keep this crisp. We'd like to keep this to the point. Broadly, I would like to split the webinar into 3 parts. First part would be on healthcare and infrastructure and technology, occupying or optimizing the occupiable spaces. The second part, I would like the panelists to dwell on the residential and commercial sector, the existing buildings, how we can occupy or modify the spaces to accommodate the new work from home culture. And the second part is the commercial establishments, the existing as well as the new commercial establishments. What changes do you foresee for the future? And lastly, we'll speak about sustainability and energy, because that should not be left in the way when we move forward. under a crisis situation. Okay, to start the ball rolling, I would like to give a little background about the whole concept. Okay? A couple of weeks back, just when we got into lockdown, our CEO sent a very heartfelt message. He said, we are under lockdown, but when we open up the company, our customers, and the customers of our customers are all going to look different. We do things differently. There's the life after Corona. Yeah, we will do some things differently, but we will continue to make the best, innovative, reliable, and sustainable PVC profiles in the world. A couple of days back, just about last week, we again had a call. His view now was more about we have to live with the virus. There's no running away. There's no way that the healthcare systems can cope up with this. The doctors or the scientists working on the vaccine are going to take time. It means we have to really adapt to this. So this kind of reminds me the slogan by the Marine Corps, which is improvise, adapt, overcome. I think this is what we need to do. In the last few days, we've seen scores of people moving across the states, the migrant labor moving from urban India towards rural India because they fear their lives, they fear their livelihoods, whether the jobs would be there, how are they going to sustain in cities. Moving to rural setup is also bringing a bigger challenge. Where is the infrastructure? If something happens here, okay, you have certain healthcare centers in the urban sector, but as we go rural, we're going to face a bigger challenge. And if the community spread starts, it's going to be a bigger challenge to all of us. So let me start the question for the panel about how ready we are as an industry to take forward this challenge of healthcare systems, infrastructure, and setting up maybe huge quarantine facilities in rural India. What's the technology available today which we can put to use, and instead of waiting for the government to take or inform us to do something, how ready as an industry we are. So can we start the discussion rolling? I would like Mr. Indrajit to start his views about what we are in terms of healthcare, how we can scale up fast, and also move towards rural India where we need to probably move fast rapidly in the next few days. Over to you, Indrajit.
Hi everyone. I think as Satish said, we are all in a state of flux. We are all in a state of major challenge now. We have been hearing about China where they set up huge hospital facilities in a very short period of time. But knowing our country, knowing the constraints that we face, knowing the laws, the difficulty, the labor problems, etc., I don't see a similar situation where you can set up huge hospitals. What I feel in India is that we have to divide our entire discussion into three parts. One is the short term, the second is the long term, and the third is the learning of in the long term from the short term. Now, in the short term, what I see is that we have a lot of buildings, both at rural and urban areas, which are in semi-use and in part in semi-disuse. Now, a lot of these buildings, especially the governmental buildings, governmental schools, etc., are facilities which can be retrofitted extremely fast. The advantage of retrofitting is the cost also. So economically, it doesn't take a lot of money. We can have a quick retrofitting. We get in the oxygen pipes, we get in some furniture, and we can start an hospital. And we can run through the whole show and do whatever is required to handle a pandemic if the spread increases beyond a certain level. And I do feel that India is blessed to have a lot of such facilities where it can be possible and we can really get into doing that rather than, touching things like malls or, we cannot use malls, we cannot use our hotels because there's always tomorrow these places can get ostracized. If you hear of a hotel where there have been a lot of patients who have been hospitalized, for a long time those hotels would definitely lose business. But when we look at a lot of government establishments, huge offices, with a lot of large open spaces, I feel these are areas which one can easily convert. Second thing, our existing hospital spaces have to look at a sea change in design. Like today, we have two kinds of entrances to the offices. One is the inpatient and the OPD entrance, and the second being the casualty or the emergency entrance. Probably now we have to have a third entrance which becomes extremely serious, is more, monitored and more filtered. And this could probably be an entrance of socio-communicable diseases. And this would probably be an imperative part of every hospital which will start seeing in future. And not only in the short term, but it's something that we need to have it in the long term. Also, what we could probably look at as a change in these spaces is that we should have rooms which are not physical inspection rooms. Probably we use technology, we do use artificial intelligence, but in the part, simply having like glass panels differentiating the patient from the visitor, and a proper circulation system, a redesigned circulation system of movement for a communicable disease patient, I feel is what is required in the short term. So it's something like, it's not that we have to always look at a major intervention to begin with, but something which is very minimally invasive, and channelize the whole process and streamline the processes of hospitals and think differently.
Very interesting points which you mentioned. I think after the tsunami in 2004, a lot of tsunami centers were established across the eastern coast. In moving forward, probably we'll see a lot of these quarantine facilities across India, because we don't know whether there's going to be a second wave or a third wave. Okay. Let me move forward to Ajay. Ajay, what is your take on how technology in India can cope up with the demand? Okay, we see there's going to be immediate demand for healthcare sector, pharma sector, because India could be the global supplier for pharmaceuticals. So we need to scale up not only in the healthcare, but also in the pharma industry. So from the technology side, what do you think, Ajay, could be India's contribution?
I think technology is overly used as a word. I'm going to just say that because technology can only facilitate what you process. If you don't process right, it's going to give you garbage in, garbage out. So I think first of all, I just want to extend to Indrajit's comment on healthcare infrastructure. The difference between this pandemic or COVID-19 and then tsunami is this is a decentralized issue. Okay, it's a localized. You have seen in news, in media, containment zone. So we have to be ready everywhere. Not okay, it's a coastal issue or it's an earthquake there, or it's a very, very overall issue, right? So every healthcare facility, private or government, probably need to have some subset within that organization to deal with quarantine. Actually, to be very frank, I don't know why we don't have quarantine. Most of the Western hospitals in the emergency side would have a quarantine philosophy. So if you actually come with a contagious disease, it could be as not COVID is a very, very huge thing, but even a smaller disease, you are gone through quarantine and then you walk into the hospital, right? So I think back to your real question, technology is actually what we are doing. I mean, I think we are all, technology is going to help as humans to adjust to getting diagnosed online. Technology will make us right, not the technology. This episode is going to push the technology on us to actually make it what it is going to be better for us anyhow. If I talk from a healthcare provider, he was waiting for this anyhow. He wanted to have an asset-light healthcare system. He didn't want OPD. OPD is a very expensive space to happen in a hospital which costs X thousand rupees a square feet, right? I mean, Jatin can tell you better. My point is, so he was trying to do that with technologies, cameras, virtual OPD, all that. Now this pandemic has made us all learn in a second that it's a good idea. It's not a bad idea at all. Home care has become much more prevalent because it's a good idea. I don't need to be like my mother. She's 78. I don't want her to go to hospital ever if she doesn't have to. I want her to get her blood test done. Physiotherapists come here. So the technology was always there. This episode is actually just an episode which is helping us think through it and make it more cleaner for us. I think that's what is going to happen post COVID and during COVID also. So today, we all are set up to do a OPD online, right? I mean, 6 months ago, would you be okay if your doctor didn't see you and you saw you like you are seeing me? I don't think so. I was not okay. I didn't like it. So I think we are getting ready to accept technology which already exists for at least few years. It is going to push its boundary and we will accept it better. I think that's the catch there. We will accept the technology much better as individuals all over the world because of this pandemic, actually. And that is going to be a fantastic healthcare. Hopefully, I truly feel healthcare costs will come down because it will hopefully become asset light. It's very, very asset heavy right now. so much land is utilized, so much capital is utilized to build a big hospital. They have to recover the cost. I'm bearing the cost, right, as a consumer. So I think that we should see in the future, that we should see the Uber and Ola philosophy of healthcare. I can say that because
when it comes to the building industry, so how do you see the building industry? Okay, we have been talking about BIM for a very, very long time. Has it really trickled into India? How is the manufacturing?
That I think, as you know, we are part of Katera as a manufacturing building solution anyhow.
Right.
That I think will be, we should have been, again, I think this pandemic will help us push it faster. It should have happened before anyhow. Building faster in an organized fashion is the need of the hour anyhow, COVID or no COVID. Okay, there's nothing to do with COVID. So I think this will push us to do that. You have to build in a controlled environment and build it faster with least number of laborers. We just had a chat before this when a panel started with you, and we are discussing if I don't have 1,000 workers, how will I start my building? If it is a manufactured building, your plant for the building can start. It's processed. Your checks and balances for any disease can happen in a plant much cleaner, much more organized way. Then an X number of resources are used to do that. So I personally feel it's going to just push what was happening already in a very, very actually exponential growth. Steel construction, precast construction, anything which can be factory manufactured and assembled on site will be the ideology now. People will accept that more. People will understand that more. What is the actual utilization of that idea, and we will be able to build faster, cleaner, and a better solution, a better building. It's not only for the disease; it will be a better building also.
Right, and also it will match with the social distancing, which I think is going to be there for the next couple of years. So that also can be maintained with the factory-made buildings.
Correct. I mean, if you look at a precast project we are doing, and you look at a conventional project we're doing, and just map the number of people who work on both the sites, you can see a huge amount of difference. There actually in a precast construction, I'm just using precast as an example, it could be steel also. You can see that you don't need to have social distancing because you're not close to each other anyway. Because the number of people are so less compared to a typical site. But I think that social distancing, I truly believe, is a short-lived idea. Okay, it's a short-lived idea. We're going to forget it. We are humans. We forget a pandemic, epidemic very fast when it goes away. To be very frank, we have to survive, right? I have to be happy in 6 months. So I'll forget what happened 6 months ago. So I will forget that. But hopefully some civic sense we have learned. We will have some distance just because we learned that as a muscle memory, not as I'm trying to work hard on it. So I think we'll start having distance just because we learned that.
That's really interesting. You put it as muscle memory. I hope we all get this, retain this, because we are all tired of seeing all the palm spitting.
Truly. So I think something will change in our muscle memory as a whole community. I think that is the gain we should have out of this for sure.
That's good. Let's move towards another aspect of building construction. Let me get Jatin on board to get his view on how is the PMC going to manage all this. With social distancing coming in, I think more and more people would rely on drawings, certificates, passed on electronically rather than having site meetings weekly or having these endless meetings where people are gathering and waiting for their turn to speak. Are we moving towards e-quality control at the sites also? That remotely people function, you avoid people interacting, maintain the social distancing, and get the project executed. So Jatin, what is your take on how the technology is going to bridge the gaps between different departments, different contractors working at the site, from the drawing approval stage to the final execution of the building?
Yeah, nice question. Just to start with, I think overall, from a design perspective to procurement perspective to construction perspective, we have always been seeing over the last few years the technology coming into play, right? Today also, if you look at it, most of the projects we are looking at digital collaborations. We are looking at tools like building information technology or BIM platforms to resolve clash issues, to resolve interactions between various consultants. With the COVID kicking in and a lot of us working from home, and including the consultants who have been there, I think there have been a lot of interaction happening on the web collaboration softwares. People are using Microsoft Teams, Zooms, GoToMeetings, webinars, or whatever it is to see to it that designs are progressing in a nice and a proper fashion. I think the key here is to determine from day one the stakeholder expectation. In the past, the various challenges during the design phases have been faced because of the stakeholder expectations which kept on repeating or changing. But with the current situation, the stakeholder expectations are going to be very, very focused. It is going to help all of us because they are also part of this, digital collaboration. There are already tools which are available, which are being used by most of the companies, most of the consultants on a web collaboration softwares to digitally transcribe drawings, details across various consultants, and you just mark them up and arrive at a right product. All this can be optimized, prioritized. Scheduling is the key. Planning is the key. Identifying the right risk is the key. I would say transparency is the key. Transparency in expectations, transparency in the delivery timelines, transparency in the risk which are being faced by the industry. All put together, every stakeholder coming in together, everyone trying to identify the risk uh, much earlier in the project and working, collaborating together to see to it that project remains a success. The next stage post this design, I would say, is the procurement. I think a lot of supplier developer engagement will be relooked at it completely. There will be various options which will be looked in by the consultants and not just rely on one material. Because the design itself is going to change. The design material specifications are going to change. We will end up having multiple suppliers, multiple sourcings. So this also will eventually help in risk mitigation, because if the planning is right and you have right kind of collaboration happening from various suppliers and various contractors, this will help to mitigate the risk as well. Moving to the site, we already have seen the positive aspects of the post-COVID situation when we started the site. Sites look more clean, more neater, more hygienic. And the advantages which Ajay and Indrajit also pulled out was of precast or pre-engineered buildings. That's going to be something which every one of us, depending on how the cost benefit analysis looks like or appears to be, will be something which will be explored. We have been advocating this from last 4-5 years because that's how we started working on a lot of the steel structures or precast buildings together with Katera and the team. But this is going to be the norm in moving future because the laborers are going to be in a shortage. The modular construction is something which I perceive coming in a lot of picture. A lot of standardization happening across the design board, because if you don't standardize and if you don't have modular construction in place, you will end up in a situation that's not repetitive. So repetitiveness, vertical integration, automation, digital collaboration, social distancing at work, embracing new technologies of construction, embracing these, construction, embracing even MEP pack having offsite construction, you come and hook it up there. There are some of the key aspects which are going to come in the future and which is going to help the construction industry or the real estate industry in totality. Because A, it's going to improve your speed, B, it is going to improve your quality, and C, it is going to open up new avenues, sectors for all of us. So
you touched a very important point about standardization. I agree with you 100%. It reminds me of a personal experience. I was in Germany in my previous company at an exhibition, and we were just generally talking about what's happening in Germany, how they form these standards for different doors and windows, buildings. You get into a hotel, the switch is the right position everywhere. The bathrooms are in the right position, the windows are in the right design. And it's a mass rapid production is possible. In my time, my previous company, I visited a factory in Poland, which was making 2,000 windows every single day. They're exporting to all across Europe.
Imagining that what's going to happen with toilet pods if Katera decides, or if any other company like Alexel or any other company decides that from tomorrow I'm going to do a mass production of toilet pods. Imagine the speed of construction. Imagine the convenience which is going to happen, because everything is going to be factory made. Everything is going to be a plug-and-play system. Be it a residential project, massive residential projects, or a hotel or a hospital. I think that's what you are trying to say is
right.
Well, I think, sorry if I can add one more point to Jatin
sure.
and Satish. I think, as KGG Katera together, I don't think we're going to stop at standardization. It's going to become a product base. We're going to sell a product. Not we or us only. I'm sure other players will in the market. We'll sell a product. This is a building I can make you for this much money. This has all these amenities. I think it's going to go beyond a toilet pod or a kitchen pod or a precast, or it's going to go that. It's going to become, this is your, X thousand rupees a square feet residential building. You want it? I'm going to pop it in 6 months for you.
This is something like the Magic Bricks ad, where you walk through a showroom, you pick up that particular model and say, okay, this model, and you can make it for them.
It is not far. It is not far. It's going to happen. We're going to sell products only, not even modular, not even standardization. I don't believe standardization will help also sometimes, to be very frank, because it's a perception of everybody's what is standard. I just changed this here a little bit. I just changed this little bit. I truly believe if you are the designer, you are the contractor, you are the developer, let's say you are the full product owner, you control the cost benefit of that yourself. Nobody else can tell you, right? So it has to be product-based delivery rather than even a standardization and modular-based delivery. Finally, when we come to that, hopefully we're coming there right now. I think we're going to be there soon. I think so.
It's going to be a balance between the speed to the final design product versus what the end user actually or the stakeholder actually wants. So it's going to be a balancing act, which in future the designers and architects like Ajay and Indrajit have to walk that path and see to it that we have a semblance in that. It's going to be an overall. It cannot be looked at three different departments of design, procurement, purchase, and construction. It has to be a full gamut of full project cycle. So
totally.
There has to be someone to tie up together.
I'm just trying to run through some of the questions which are coming in the chat.
Sure.
There's one interesting point which is raised by Ajay about the social distancing being a short-lived concept. Okay, so how do we see the speed, the social distancing impacting the speed of project delivery in the near future?
I will take that question. Social distancing will impact the speed of construction if we are going with the conventional RCC structure or conventional way of making a building currently, right? This is a scenario where we are all trying to learn and adapt and change ourselves, right? It is an experience which we are getting, and it's an experience which every one of us is going to face, and everyone is going to innovate and come out with options how to mitigate those challenges. Currently, it is a work in progress is what I would say, or I'll put it on table. Yes, but there are technologies which are available which can help us to speed up the construction, which we have spoken a couple of minutes back. There has been also one more point I forgot about, adding a dependency situation where a lot of works happen post review by the consulting team. Right now, there were technologies in the past also which were being utilized also, like a drone. You fly in a drone and you feed the consultant who's sitting in his office or his home and look at that aspect of installation which has been done. So those aspects will also help to speed up the construction. You don't really need to wait now for a consultant to walk into the actual site. You can actually give him a live feed and take an approval there. But currently, yes, we are facing a situation where we are saying that the construction durations will be impacted if this wider situation continues for some more time till we don't find a solution to that. Our dependency on the labor has been increased quite phenomenally because the amount of labor which are required for a particular job has those kind of labors are not available now. It's 50% in some of the cases. So naturally, with all the situations coming in, there will be impact on the speed on a short-term basis.
Okay.
In long term, we will all find a solution. That's what I believe.
Indrajit, you wanted to add a point?
I think I missed the flow now, so probably I'll take the next question. Whatever.
Okay. No problem. I think I will move to the second part of the panel, because I think the first panel, all the panelists have answered wonderfully. Okay, starting from Indrajit talking about the existing buildings, how it can be put to use, how existing pre-built or partially built structures can be made to use, retrofitted so that the quarantine facilities can be built rapidly. Ajay spoke about new technologies, right from prefabricated buildings to steel structures, which can be used to make these infrastructure ready faster. And Jatin spoke about technologies which can integrate all this, be it drawing preview or approval to the site inspection, which can be done with a drone. I think together as a team, the architect, the PMC, the contractor can work together to make these constructions much faster, which is going to be the need of the hour. Let's take the discussion a little away from healthcare, because every day, day in, day out, we are used to see the COVID meter ticking up. So let's move towards some problems or challenges which we face in our homes. So when we look at residential sector, work from home is the new normal. Okay, people are cooped up, locked up in their homes the last 50 days now. So even the small families are feeling the pinch, because the couple, both the husband and wife are working, both are on Zoom calls or webinars throughout the day. The kids are attending school online. So, okay, the bandwidth is gone, but it puts a lot of stress on people cooped up at homes and in front of the screen all the time. So as architects, how do you think the industry can address this issue? Because, okay, maybe social distancing could be a short-term concept. Maybe we'll see a second wave. There are already some reports of some IT companies looking at reducing their people coming to the office by 50% in the next 5 years. So work from home, I think, is going to be the norm for a lot of sectors. So it poses a big challenge on the employees, especially India, where the middle class is a huge segment. Okay, now people spend their lifetime savings on buying one home, maybe a 1 BHK or a 2 BHK, and I don't think this situation can permit them to expand to a 2.5 or a 3 BHK. Okay. So how do you see change in the design or change in furniture? Or how, as an architect, do you think people can cope up with this situation?
So I personally feel change has to happen at multi-layers. It's not, so I'll put it, what I say multi-layers is like today, the first thing that has impacted house buying is affordability. The first thing. And how does affordability change? Now today we know that the cost of construction is growing by the day because of manufactured materials, because of labors, which is everything is in short supply. But a chunk of the cost of construction of a house is actually going to the land. As of today, it stands at around 40 to 50% of the cost of a building goes into the land. Now, how do we reduce this cost? It's something which is very easily controllable by the government. So it's something like opening up on FSI. Today, we work at an FSI of 2 or 2.5 or 3. So which means that the buildable space is very limited. Whereas if you look at very developed nations, we have an FSI as high as 8, which means the cost of land, which is at 40 to 50% of the cost of a building, can come down to 10%. This first and foremost empowers the buyer to buy a bigger home or a better home. At the second level, what happens is that today we have to look at homes which are multitask homes, or let's say transformational homes. Today we need to have homes. See, homes were earlier a 6-hour or an 8-hour or a 10-hour occupational places where only the senior citizens used to spend their time. But today the way things are turning, it's going to probably be a 24-hour occupational space. So which means we have to have our homes where the interiors are integrated with the exterior. We get the feel of the sun, we get the light better, the design of the windows, the design of openings. Outdoor spaces in the home have to improve to enhance the quality of livability in life on the first plane. On the second plane, everybody is talking about now multiple work happening from home. Now today we cannot just say that we add an extra bedroom. Yes, if the cost of construction, the cost of land, the cost of FSI drops, obviously people can opt for a slightly better space with an additional room or additional office space or a facility. But in today's times, looking at the compact homes, and the houses are getting compact by the day, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana has set in a trend of building those 60 square meter homes across the country. A lot of thousands and thousands of homes are being built. So from these homes, the only escape that I can see is transformational furniture, because we cannot add rooms. And these are homes which fit into 80% of the buyer base today. So we are looking at, there are already players who had started on transformational furniture in a small way. But in the last 1.5 months that we are working on a lot of projects with a lot of our clients across cities, we are seeing that this is a discussion today. One is to have transformational homes. The second is to create mixed-use facilities within the apartment complex, within townships, within areas. We create additional spaces where people can, with the proper social distancing and stuff like that, have dedicated areas where they can sit into a space, like probably a clubhouse has probably a 10,000 square feet space or a 15,000 square feet place, with different working pods which could be used for work from home. So people, what we see psychologically also, staying in the house all the time is a psychological issue. You stay with the person too long, you start disliking the person. So we have seen a lot of fights happen. Of course, there's a baby boom on one side, and on the other side, we are seeing a lot of domestic issues also rising. So it is essential that we have homes and we have support to homes and auxiliary support, which can come in terms of the common area spaces, which could also be used as a work from home facility. So probably a combination of all these factors will probably make livability and better homes more possible.
Let me, it's a very interesting point. Yeah, sure. I just want to add one point here. Do you think big IT companies, instead of building big IT facilities, they will buy big, huge apartment complexes, house their employees there so that they can work from home?
Ideally, for a country like India, like when we made our ring roads, when we made our ITPLs, when we made our electronic cities of Gurgaon, I do not know why we started building, like office spaces in isolation and homes far away, creating a lot of, density of traffic on our roads. One of the most mismanaged traffics in terms of density of vehicles to the time of transport is the biggest mismatch is probably in India. So probably if we have complexes of integrated complexes with flexible workspaces, like today remote working does not mean now co-working was always a norm. So probably if we have a housing complex, a 1 million square feet of housing complex with 500,000 square feet of a workspace, which could be rented or shared at a fraction of the cost in whichever area it is by the companies, taking smaller areas. Probably that could also be something in the future which could work out very well. So instead of like an individual going and having a 100 square feet pod, probably say a big company like Infosys says I have a 10,000 square feet pod in a prestige property or a Soba property or things like that. So we could probably say an evolution of a model which is very different than what exists today.
So I want to add to that. I think it's very interesting what Indrajit said. It's true, very, very true what he said. But I will backward integrate from an office space and come to the residence, because that's the reason of this whole news, right? So we as Bangalore, let's keep Bangalore as a focus, or any other metro in India. We are the biggest density of people sitting in air-conditioned space are this IT, BT company, right? I mean, that's what we are about. The highest density of people in a single zone is an IT park, but Indrajit just said it's not even mixed use. It's kind of just only for office, and then you go to your 20-kilometer home that side, 30-kilometer home that side, maybe 10-kilometer home that side. I think we will see much more of co-living, co-working, and not big egoistic campuses of an individual MNC at a single place. I think I'm just giving myself as an example. Let's say I have a big brand, I have a 5,000 employee at this company. I will not want to build a campus in north, southeast Bangalore. I would have 500-seater 10 places in Bangalore and make sure that my resources are actually within 5 or 8 kilometers of that office. So the thought process of actually engaging spaces will also change. The numbers may not change drastically, but the thought process will change that, I don't need a 5,000 seater one building because I have a big ego, I'm a big guy from California, I want to do this, right? I think they will start thinking that decentralizing offices like that will help. Co-working, which is right now, I take 100 seater, will become every off. I personally feel every real estate residential project will have a clubhouse and a 10,000 co-living building next to it. And let's say ABCD company from US will engage only 3 seats there for their 3 employees who live in the building. And then the other person will engage 3 seats there for their 3 employees. So it will be totally decentralized. That possibility is very high. What we struggle right now is not organized way of living or working. So co-living also will help a lot, because we just look at 1,000-person company, 70% of that people don't own a home. That's why you hire them. They're under X thousand rupees salary. They live in PGs, they live in the 5 people live in a 2-bedroom apartment. So having co-living will also start monitoring who lives where, are the hygiene conditions maintained, can we tag them. So I think all monitoring where we do and where we live will become much more needed. And by co-living, co-working, and decentralized campuses will actually help do that. I truly believe that.
Nice. Let's move to Jatin. Jatin, interesting points by Indrajit and Ajay. So we're going to look at complete transformation of our residential and office spaces. The office is moving towards home. Home becomes an extension of the office, because your clubhouse could be extension of a co-working space. So your entire portfolio is going to change in the next few days. How do you think the PMC industry is going to manage this sudden transformation?
Architects always get inspired and come up with fresh ideas when the challenges are there, and this is one of the challenges. There was opinions coming from both Indrajit and Ajay on this.
You have a sarcastic undertone, by the way. I can see.
As project management consultant, we build what is given to us or what is asked to build to us, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, from a pre-construction perspective, where I've been managing quite a number of designs with help from architects, I also perceive and see a lot of changes happening in the way we will be possibly designing which the architects or the stakeholders might be asking the architects to design the residential apartments. There was a phenomenon of what we saw in Bangalore or Shanti Niketan or a Brigade Metropolis or something, where we had walk to work, concept of walk to work. This many cities within a larger city is actually possibly going to be the future, where large campuses will be based on this guidance. This is what I perceive. And apart from what Ajay mentioned about co-livings coming in or co-works coming in, will be all part of this integrated campus, where you have a school, you have a hospital, you have a mall, you have a residential apartment, and you have an office complex. This might be the future. And most of the buyers will feel safe if they are in such kind of secluded campuses. In terms of residential design itself, I think a lot of emphasis will be on ventilation. A lot of emphasis which is currently also today. If you look at good architects, there's a lot of emphasis on ventilation. There will be an emphasis on possibly having a separate room, which is like an office come residential. When you can carve out your own office space within an apartment. That might be one way, which you have a study or 2.5 BHK or 2 BHK plus study concept, where a study can be transformed into an office space. A lot of emphasis on soundproof walls, and a lot of emphasis on glazing, which is going to be soundproof rather than just a single pane glass, which you currently give. This might be an upgrade of specification. I'm just mentioning it back to you. A lot of empty space, which possibly a lot of clients do demand a foyer space where you actually take out all your belongings before actually moving into the your virtual apartment. So that's where you put in your keychains, your driving licenses, you put in there. So this kind of plus finishes of the material. all the architects and every developer will now look at finishes, and the buyers will look at finishes which are materials which are easy to clean, which are possibly antimicrobial. I don't know. I'm not speculating it, but that might be some kind of lead. But from a project management perspective, I think whether whatever I was building yesterday earlier or what I'm going to build today, for me it's going to be managing the project completely. So for me, it's not going to be a big change. But design is going to be a lot of change and a lot of.
So as long as the design is clear, you don't see challenges in executing the design or getting the communication across to the contractors to follow the design.
Only thing which I would like to again stress upon here is that while designing, while coming out of the designs, the consultants might have to look at possibility of how a design is buildable, and not, which eventually good architects do that, good consultants do that, and how a design can actually help to speed the construction, which we spoke about a few minutes back also. This is on the residential, but I also believe that the office space will also go for a lot of changes. Office designs will go for a change. Hospital designs might go for a change. Hotel designs might go for a change. You will have a lot of this experiences and learnings coming out to be integrated in the design. But that's my take as of situation. It's an all evolving situation. It will keep on changing as we move forward.
Right. So Jatin touched a lot of points, a couple of points which is interesting. I will take this question forward to Indrajit about the hotel industry that Jatin mentioned. I think the hotel industry is going to be very badly hit next to the airline industry, which is already bleeding. Virgin Australia already announced their bankruptcy. In India, before the COVID, Jet Airways folded up. We're going to see a lot of crisis in the aviation sector. But the hotel and food and beverage industry, I think, is going through a big change, a big challenge, because if the social distancing is going to be maintained, I don't see the hotels opening in the near future. And there are some interesting videos and photographs on the internet about glass cubicles in restaurants where people can maintain the social distancing. But do we have the luxury of space for these kind of cubicles? I remember when I was in Bangalore studying in Dayanand Sagar, going on the bike, there used to be these dabas where you could sit in the secluded coves which they had made. But do you think this could be incorporated in future in the hotel, restaurants? Indrajit, what do you think about the hotel segment? How the design would change in the hotels and restaurants? Because that's going to be a big challenge when it comes to social distancing and hygiene.
See, for me, I feel the biggest disruption that is required post-COVID today is the air conditioning industry, frankly speaking. Because today what is happening is that we are going into conditioned spaces. Conditioned spaces, whether it's a hospital, whether it's a hotel, whether it's an office space, these are the three largest conditioned spaces, or malls. These are the four largest conditioned spaces. Most of the spaces have been designed as beautiful conditioned environmental cages. We are all sitting in a cage. And if you see most of the the hospitality projects where you used to open out into a balcony, you could keep the windows open, are all gone, and you have fixed glass which comes and sits there. So we're actually, apart from COVID also, we have to have a lot of learning. COVID may stay, COVID may go, and COVID might go fast, that we're all looking to drive it out fast. But the whole point is, as a learning from the issue, I think we have to now start looking at a change of our very thinking of how we design these spaces, especially. And we cannot have, like, for example, an office space is such a large space, lakhs of square feet with a central air conditioning. It's always a place of which breeds infection. I feel once we have to make spaces green, we have to depend on smaller areas with separate air conditioning. We have to have specialized air conditioned, non-air conditioned spaces. We have to create a hierarchy of spaces. And once we start doing those kind of things, probably even the hospitality industry will start opening up faster. See, today travel is going to be an inevitability. I feel the moment the lockdown ends on 17th, most probably at least 70% of it is going to end. At least 10% of travel is going to start, because it's an inevitability for all of us. And honestly speaking, I'm out of town now already. And luckily, I'm not staying in a hotel. That's the only thing. So But there is going to be a lot of travel happening. Industries have to open up. We have to sensitize ourselves. We have to change ourselves in the short term. And I feel, as far as restaurants are concerned, like you said, probably we have to now look at restaurants with lesser capacity, with social distancing, probably a reservation system, non-air conditioned spaces to begin with, till we find an alternative way to treat the environment better. And I think things will start getting back on track sooner than expected, is my personal opinion.
So Ajay,
Yes, Satish is
But
very interesting. I think the Indrajit's perspective is very, very right. Air condition is the culprit and is the need, actually, to be very frank. It's both. Just to give you COVID specific data, so I think because we are doing a redesign of a 2 million square foot office building now post COVID. We designed it, we came to a stage, we are going to redesign it. So we have gone through some iterations. So I just share. See, the normal comfortable temperature is going to change first, right? We work in a 22 to 23 degree, and when we don't have a return air ideology built in, the humidity can drop to 10, 15, 20 also, right? So just take COVID as an example. COVID loves 2010 humidity, RH, okay? COVID loves lower temperature, okay? COVID hates higher temperature and high humidity. Between 40 and 70 is what COVID doesn't like. And between 30 to 56 is COVID doesn't like, right? So we will become normal to a 26 to 30 degree temperature in Bangalore. We will actually become fan-centric office buildings one day. That's what I was going to quote Jatin, that we have done one for different reasons, but we will become fan-centric because the temperature of comfort will become 26 to 30. That is neat. Humidity will increase in the space from a very, very cold, dry air, which usually if you push air with no return air philosophy, will become anyhow cold, dry, right? So I think we will have a more RH value. Because, so that's for COVID, but I think that's also more human. We were never set up to live in 22 degrees. Yeah? We just got the luxury of 22 degrees. We're all good for 26, 27 degrees with a fan. If the circulation of air was good enough, we were fine. We will push more fresh air into any office space, any hospitality building than we ever did. I know it costs money, but the balancing act will be, we will not keep it 22, we'll keep it 26, we'll keep it 27, we'll keep it 28. So that's the norms coming. Shrey and Ashrey both are actually writing different norms right now to adjust to what this post-COVID is. Again, I truly don't blame COVID for anything. That's what we should be doing anyhow. It's just helping us do it very, 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 very fast. That's all. I think it's going to make us do it very fast. That's what it's going to do.
I think solar
this is something very interesting.
Solar passive architecture, solar passive design, I think will be the way forward, which we have been doing for a long time now, but it's not. It's something that people try to shirk away from it because it's a little extra effort.
But it was not sellable before. No?
It was not sellable, but I think it will be highly sellable now.
Actually, there are a lot of interesting points which you mentioned. I mean, one of them about the setting of the temperature, the air conditioning in the hotels especially. Whenever my colleagues come from Turkey or Belgium, they say, your hotels are so damn cold. Why do they keep it at such freezing temperatures? Right? I think most of the hotels, they set it at 18 degrees and windows are leaking the air conditioning all the time. I mean, there's one way to look at it is to have a fan ventilated space, a nice ventilation from the natural ventilation from the windows and having fans. Another way to look at it is having a space which is controlled with proper glazing, proper window systems. That's where balance has to be found between comfort of the occupant, whether to consider slightly higher investment in a high performance window system, or to go with a natural ventilation and get the human to adapt to 26, 27 degrees. I think the challenge is that we all moved very rapidly from the fan ventilation to air-conditioned offices, air-conditioned homes in the last 10 years. I remember growing up in Bangalore, we never needed the air conditioning. Maybe the fan we needed a couple of hours in the day. In the nights, we didn't need the fans most times of the year. I think the human body conditioning is required. But there's one interesting question which I got in the chat, specifically about Bangalore. Indrajit touched upon it, that Bangalore is becoming a concrete jungle. So what is your take going to be on the future of the urban scape of Bangalore? What do you think are going to be the changes? I mean, COVID or no COVID?
See, first and foremost, we are eating away the most precious resource that we have. That is our earth. Actually, we have eaten away our land, we have eaten away our waters, we have eaten away our lakes. And the kind of development that we are doing, low rise, high low density or high density, low rise, low density development, which becomes high density because of the narrow roads and small houses illegally built clustered next to each other. This kind of development is what has killed Bangalore, frankly. Narrow roads, plotted development, and stuff like that. Whereas a city which has a growth potential, I think we have to shrink the land where the government has to act very, very firmly. It has to, like I told in the previous webinar somewhere, like the greatest cities, Chicago, London, were built out of great fires, even New York. When the fire destroyed the city, they had a huge FSI, they made the city tall, they made it pedestrian. People could walk across the blocks of the city, and the places where they couldn't walk, they could take public transport. And then they had the suburbs where if they wanted to stay in the countryside, they would take their cars down. So it becomes very simple. We don't need a fire to tell us to do that. It's something like if you straight away open up a FSI to 8 or 10 and you tell people to, sacrifice, amalgamate plots, and donate land for roads, parks, water bodies, lakes, regenerate them. We cannot develop our old lakes now because all the weirs are cut off. At least we can create low lakes or based on the topography. We can create an entire new environment. The only thing which can drive this is not force, not a stick by the government. Instead of regularizing what is already bad and which is destroying the city, if they open up the FSI greatly, I think it will dramatically change the city of Bangalore. Why Bangalore? Bombay, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad. You name all of it. Hyderabad relatively has a higher FSI. But of course, we need to have a lot of other things also which come in play. I think the government has to take a very strong stand in terms of urban design. We have to go back. Because we are living. I don't know. We are probably still living in the post-colonial recovery of our urban planning, which was not at all based on the need of today. So I think we need a dramatic change, a very strong leadership to take us out in save our cities.
I'm just going through a couple of questions in the chat, and many of these points which you've commented now addresses some of these questions. Let me go through a couple of the questions. In the meantime, Ajay, do you have a different take on this?
Yeah, I don't have different. I have a little diagonal taste. I think we are a reactionary developer system, right? I think the government owes us an infrastructure and an FAR and enough water for that FAR, enough power for that FAR, and then we should build. It's a simple mindset. But the whole country, it's not only Bangalore, it's driven by the developer saying, can I convert this, can we build this? And government allows without giving the infrastructure. So I think it's about, I have 4 parcels of land. Yes, it's equipped for 5 FAR, water, power, and road width. Please go build it. That's how it should be, right? We are architects and developers should, given a parcel of land, which has been actually given the energy to build that FAR, right? We said, then they tell us, go build a STP in yourself because I can't give you anything, right? Go make your own. So it's a reactionary way of doing development. It's not the right way of doing development. I think it should be planned with everything in there. And then we pop in our 100 acre in the middle or 10, 20, 40 acre in the acre. And what the breather of like a New York City, the lungs are given, right? So lungs should be given and nobody can touch the lungs. Fair enough. So I think we are reactionary growth. I mean, not only Bangalore, Gurgaon, anywhere you see, we react. We need it, so we grow. Can we do it? I don't know. Let's see. We are in that kind of scenario. Hence, it becomes organic growth, which is a disaster. I mean, I'll tell you frankly, my building can save water for rainwater harvesting. Fair enough. His building can, your building can. But if the city is saving one time in a centralized place, that efficiency is much higher than every building saving. Because in my building floods sometimes, and sometimes there's no water, right? Because it's a bad water management system, right? The same damn building will flood half the time. The same building will have no water sometimes. It's just saying I'm not containing the water properly. That's all. So I think it's not an organized way of actually doing it. That's all. Otherwise, high density doesn't mean bad buildings. Right? High density, I think I totally agree to. If they're organized, Chicago is a perfect example. I lived there a decade myself. It's a perfect example. It's concrete, but it's worked because it has been planned by the higher authorities and the architects and developers come in and done their work better in the middle of it. I think that's what it is. That's what should be done.
That's interesting. So you think we are coming to a close of our webinar. We have an interesting discussion. Just one last point. Many times, like you said, when there's a crisis, we are reacting to the crisis and building something. what happens to sustainability, what happens to the environment when somebody is rushing in to do something for the next few days and next few months. Would sustainability take the hit, or we keep sustainability in our mind and then design the buildings moving forward? Because in the last few weeks, we have seen nature trying to rehabilitate itself. We've seen numerous pictures across the world of animals coming onto the roads, and even the ozone layer seems to be healing. So I want your opinion as a closing, that in the future, what's going to be in terms of sustainable design, and how we can retain this, the nature which has come into our lives again, to retain them and move forward.
So who started?
Thanks.
Please, Indrajit.
Yeah, Indrajit, yes.
See, sustainability has to be a way of life because we cannot abuse the earth. It is not just COVID, COVID is something which is very contagious and we are being hurt by it immediately. But looking at our lifestyle diseases, looking at the lung cancers, looking at the growth of tumors, the radiation, another issue now. The biggest challenge that we have sustainability was earlier about wind, air, light, and quality of air, quality of water. But today the quality of radiation also has become extremely critical. And it is high time that we cannot shy away from these issues. It's important that we take all these issues into our mind and into our mind frame. And we adhere to, solving them once and for all. My only worry is that our memories are pretty short. My biggest worry is that, as soon as we get out of the lockdown, we start running again the race that we were always running. And we forget to do things that we want to do. But if we all, like the private sector, the government sector, all of us come together and take a strong initiative. And if we are able to, take this reboot time to create a better planet, a better earth, I think it would be a great thing to do.
Right. Let's have Jatin also in this.
Yeah, I think I would only say that pandemic or COVID has actually raised the stakes of sustainability. A lot of developers and a lot of consultants have started thinking on those lines, which most of good developers were doing it, but now trend is moving towards that. I can see that happening in the current projects as well. My take is the quality of a real estate asset will be actually now gauged based on how sustainable the design was, okay, and how good the certifications you have achieved, right? People are now talking about well certification. People are now talking about SHM certification. People are talking about going up to platinum. These are all amalgamation of thoughts and processes which are driven by consultants and by stakeholders to give a good design, a natural living condition, a ventilated space, a space which is getting a good indoor air quality, etc., and a better energy efficiency. So it's a nutshell. The quality of living condition or quality of healthy working conditions are going to improve. That's
good.
Good.
So, Ajay, would you like to add something? Let me quickly run through the questions. Maybe we'll go to the question and answer soon.
Sure. So I think my only comment is, I think what I just said before also, I think the change will be not because of a developer or a big IT company I think it'll be very individual based change in sustainability. I hope we build some muscle memory. I'm using the word again. I hope we build some muscle memory and learn what we lived through this and use it in the future. I think because everybody has less consumer today. Everybody sitting here is consuming less and surviving very nicely. No, but so if we can learn something out of this and keep it in our muscle memory, I think that will be a success. The rest will be just capital jargon, to be very frank. I think we all as individuals, we are all in the same plane. We all keep this in our muscle memory, we will be in a better situation sustainability wise, for sure.
Interesting discussion, last 1 hour. Maybe we've seen how architects are going to change the future of healthcare, how architects are going to support in terms of retrofitting existing buildings and increase our healthcare centers. We have also seen how technology is going to help in speeding this process. I mean, excellent discussion from all the three panelists. There are a number of questions which I think most of the panelists have answered directly or indirectly. There's some question about how do you see attrition due to COVID-19 of manpower migrating from city and developing better infra in rural areas. I think Indrajit touched about it. Jatin spoke about technology. Ajay also spoke about technology, prefabricated buildings. I think overall, if I have to summarize the discussion and the questions which are coming in, we have been able to communicate how the future is going to be in terms of optimizing the occupiable spaces. So multi-form or transformation is going to happen in our residential buildings, commercial buildings, office buildings, co-working spaces. I think as the panelists have put in or given their inputs about different types of structures, I think most of the questions are related to this. There are few of questions which is probably not really possible to answer. Let me still put it. There's a question, do industry leaders have pragmatic solutions for a livable infrastructure for slum areas like Dharavi? I don't know who is going to take this because this is a hotspot in Mumbai. I think the whole of India knows about Dharavi, and it's the most populated or congested space in India. And
I think Indrajit can take that. My one-line response will be, I think that's a 1-hour panel by itself. Let's do it as a standalone panel. That's my one-line answer. That I think it's not worth answering in one line.
It's a huge, it's a massive urban design question.
Yeah.
Right.
I personally feel that it's a shame that, like so many years after independence, we're living with the Dharavi. It's like, it shouldn't have happened. Like we should have actually redesigned it. We should have redeveloped it. Again, it's an area with a lot of density, a lot of FSI, which could easily be redone. I think, as I said, it's a new panel by itself. It's a whole big story. But I think it's a shame that we are still living with slums like this. We have to move on and we have to react to it very fast. We have to be reactive because we cannot be proactive right now. But we should do it really fast.
Right. So I'm just checking the questions. There's mostly the questions are related to labor, related to sustainable architecture, which we have covered here. I don't see any new or different kind of question. I think we are crossing our time limit. I'd like to conclude this. I think the discussion has been wonderful. Okay, there's a lot of points which you covered and a lot of food for thought. I think coming in from the industry leaders, I think for the youngsters who are just entering into architecture or even for the facade contractors, building contractors, I think the points which you all three have mentioned are very relevant. I wish all of us all the very best, considering today evening we're going to have an address from our Prime Minister at 8 o'clock. If we don't see the extension of the lockdown, probably we'll all meet up soon. But yeah, I think the social distancing is still going to be there. The hotspots or the containment zones are critical. We need to focus on what is possible from our homes, work towards technology, make technology our partner and move ahead. I think we have to learn to live with COVID. And I go back to the slogan of the Marine Corps about improvise, adapt, and overcome. Thank you very much, gentlemen. You've been a wonderful panel, right and very crisp in your thoughts and detailed. Very wonderful. Thank you very much. I hand over to Dave. Dave, can you do the closing remarks, please?
Thank you, Satish.
The questions which are the questions which are coming in, probably we can address them. We can email them to the panelists and they can revert to the additional questions which are popping up now.
Sure.
Over to you, Dave.
Yeah, so it was a wonderful session. It's a timely started and timely completion, 5-10 minutes here and there. There's nothing much, I will thank Mr. Indranil and Mr. Jatin and Mr. Ajay and Mr. Satish for spending your valuable time with us and giving us the insight of your knowledge and the thought process towards the current scenario of the industry. So from bottom of my heart and from Deconic family, I thank you very much and have a nice evening to you. Mohit, you want to say something? You want to say thank you, Mohit?
Good day.
Just
Yeah,
unmute, Mohit. Yeah, unmute.
Sorry. So thank you everybody, and the kind of comments we are getting, it's been a very knowledgeable session, very interactive, and we are also getting comments from people saying that thank you for addressing the questions that were answered by really asked by everybody. So hoping to see you all again soon on such knowledge sessions. And thank you Jatanji, thank you Indujit, thank you Ajayji, thank you Satish, thank you.
Thank you.
See you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you all.
Stay home, stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.